Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 297. Wishing you a good and safe Memorial Day long weekend. I'm visiting my wife's family in Cleveland this weekend, which is really nice. People coming in from Chicago, Cincy, plus family here in Cleveland, driving down or flying down from Toronto. Really nice to get everyone together, especially when we don't see this side of the fam too often. Whatever you're doing, hope you're having a fun and safe long weekend. Hey, we have a stellar episode of Tech It Out planned for you, kicking things off with LG about what's new in OLED TVs. Then I'll talk smart home tech, including new Alexa devices. Cisco will stop by to talk AI, and BenQ has new gaming monitors that won't break the bank. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's officially kick off the show with our first interview. We love our TVs, but if it's been a few years since you've bought one or even looked at one closely at retail, wow, you are going to be blown away by their size, clarity, brightness, contrast, and color. This is especially true for LG's OLED TVs, now celebrating 10 years, as it's like night and day compared to other brands and their technologies. And so I wanted to invite back onto the show Gilles Pereira, Senior Go-To Market Manager at LG. Good to chat with you again, Gilles. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again, Mark. It's great to be here, as always. I always look forward to talking to you. So, yeah.
Awesome. Likewise. So with LG celebrating a decade of its OLED TVs, congrats, by the way, we have talked a lot about this panel technology over the years, often with you as my guest, Gilles. So tell us, what should we get excited about when it comes to LG OLED?
Yeah, for sure. And I've been blessed to be part of this last decade of OLED. I was at the original launch party, actually. It's definitely been a fantastic opportunity for me in my career to see it from its inception and each year that it's evolved from, adding resolution, HDR formats, adding different form factors. And it's been exciting to see the new and latest and greatest that they've come out with each year. Mm-hmm. And this year is no different. We've actually come up with some fantastic new concepts, some new form factors, and some new picture quality improvements that are sure to be the leading edge in the industry for picture quality and overall TV.
Awesome. All right. So again, after 10 years, I'm sure many of our listeners have heard of LG OLED, but for those who don't know the specifics, let's talk about what makes OLED special. For those less tech savvy, can you speak a bit about the key features of OLED technology?
For sure. So at the core, what makes it unique versus any other current TV technology is the pixels actually light individually. So they're self-lit pixels. Yeah, for some of your listeners, you might have heard that as an explanation at stores or online as they're researching for the TV that they're going to buy. But essentially what that means is each individual pixel gets its light individually. So the ability to create a perfect black image is uncomparable, and no other TV in the market can get anywhere close to the same contrast ratio that an OLED can get. So non-OLEDs would use some kind of LED backlight system in conjunction with either an LED or a mini LED light source. So you'll hear things like full array, edge lit, direct lit, things of that nature. So OLED doesn't use any of those. It's individual pixel control. So on a 4K TV, you're actually talking about over 8 million individually lit pixels. So, if you're comparing that to a full array TV, maybe it can control 100 zones, maybe 1,000 on a mini LED. So we're talking millions here. So the impact on the viewer's experience is drastic and very noticeable.
In other words, some TVs that have a backlight, many of them do, even when that pixel is black, because there's a backlight behind it, it can end up looking a little bit more gray or washed out, right? But with an OLED TV, when you want perfect blacks, it just turns itself off. So giving you that gorgeous deep blacks that we want, that depth in an image.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And the first part of what I said when we started our conversation, a lot of the flexibility in things like form factor are because of that self-lit pixel structure. Mm-hmm. So there's less total parts to the TV. So from an environmental standpoint, it's actually much easier to recycle, and more of the materials are less toxic, but the flexibility. So we have transparent TVs, and that's strictly because we have this flexibility because of OLED self-lit pixels.
Yeah.
We've had curved OLED TVs. We have OLED TVs that roll up into an audio box. It also applies to gaming monitors. So now you're going to start to hear more and more about gaming monitors that are made with OLED technology versus LCD. So the sky's the limit really with OLED, and we've kind of gone back each year and looked at, hey, how can we make this even better this year? And that's, we keep coming out with fantastic new leading technology with OLED kind of at the forefront.
Speaking of which, we've heard about LG OLED Gallery series TVs. What's new about these this year?
The Gallery series is remarkable. It's essentially taken our wallpaper TV from 2017, which for anybody listening that remembers, essentially it was a very thin panel, but it needed an external box to run the image on the screen. So we took that concept and we redesigned it. So now it's completely housed within the TV. It's about 19 millimeters from wall to screen, and it's completely uniform top to bottom. And it comes with a custom bracket in the box with the TV. So essentially it sits on your wall like a painting, like a piece of art. So that's been the form factor for a couple of years now. But what we've done this year is we've introduced a new light architecture, which is essentially putting these like little mirrors, if you were, on top of the light. So we're not doing anything really with the light itself. The reason why that's important is you don't want to overdrive the light source, and then the TV might actually prematurely wear out its lifespan. What we're doing is we're really harnessing the current light source using these little micro lenses, and we're talking billions of these little micro lenses with a B. And what that's giving you is a much higher peak luminance. So we're talking up to 70% brighter than a non-OLED Evo, a non-LG OLED Evo model. So let's say a B series as an example.
We're chatting with Gilles Pereira, Senior Go-To Market Manager at LG. We're talking about the 10th anniversary of LG OLED and the benefits of this panel technology over other kinds of TVs. So compared to the LG OLED Gallery series that you just shared with us, Gilles, the Objet TVs, OBJET, that's a whole other sort of animal, right?
For sure. So Objet is kind of an umbrella of products across categories. So we have home entertainment products like TVs, we have appliance products, kind of a unique lifestyle focus or solution for these products. So specifically within our home entertainment product assortment, we have a product called the Pose. So essentially we're taking what has been seen to be the best picture quality in the industry. So you have an LG OLED Evo, similar to what we would have in our C series as the picture, but it's housed within this very beautiful interior design focused form factor. So it's this kind of like white and beige, very rounded edge on an easel. So it kind of looks like almost like a piece of art. It was actually picked and used in a recent art gallery showcase in Milan.
That's cool. I remember talking with you about that. Any other LG products, Gilles, that have you excited this year?
Yeah, so one of the most exciting products that I've seen in the last few years, actually, because I think essentially once you see a TV, I mean, obviously the picture quality gets better and the form factors get slimmer, and there's all these things that kind of stay within the same framework of a standard TV. It's going to be mounted on your wall or it's going to be put on a table. And the way the TV works is pretty standard within that framework. Not much has changed. Whereas we have launched this new TV called the Stand By Me, which essentially is a combination of maybe a large tablet and a TV combined. So it's housed on a kind of a rolling stand or a rollable stand. So you can actually move it anywhere within your living space. It does have these wheels on the base, so it's very easy to move around. It has a built-in 3-hour battery. It's, Wi-Fi enabled, obviously all these things that you would expect from a TV. So it has your streaming services, your Netflixes, your Disneys, etc. It also has AirPlay. So if you don't have an app on our WebOS platform that you like to use, you can use it on your phone and just AirPlay that directly to the TV. It's very, very interesting. It's one of those things you might not know you need before you see it, but once you see it and you see all the different applicable use cases for it, one that really comes to mind that resonates with me, I have a lot of friends with kids that, they don't necessarily want to have a TV in their bedroom because they want to make sure that, maybe they're controlling what they're watching, or they want them to be more integrated with the family. So this to me is interesting. You could maybe roll in the TV for TV time for an hour, let's say, and then you can roll it out at the end of the night, or when it's time to get back to homework or what have you, right? And there's so many different use cases for it. It also can rotate, so vertical or horizontal orientation. So depending on the use case, you can, I'm watching a yoga video, want to know how to do some of these different poses, roll it into the gym that you have in the house or onto the patio as you're having some guests over, maybe for a summer evening.
I was going to say the same thing. Like for entertaining, you can wheel it outside if you're lucky enough to have like a backyard deck or something and have a karaoke night or something like that, because it's wireless, right? And then you can then wheel it back inside, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's a 27-inch screen. It's touch screen, and it has a 3-hour built-in battery, and it moves it around anywhere you want.
Wow,
so
awesome.
If you can kind of conceptualize that and think of all the different use cases, I think it's a pretty interesting new product.
All right, Gilles, thank you so much again for your time. Always great chatting with you. And I always learn something too, because I'm so ingrained in this tech world that when I learn about something new, I get excited about it. So thank you, Gilles. For the folks at home, where can we learn more about the latest innovations in LG's OLED TV lineup?
If I can actually thank you for that, because it's a huge compliment coming from someone like yourself.
Thanks,
years in the industry. So I'm very flattered anytime you give me a compliment. But
thanks, Gilles.
For any additional information and everything we've discussed today, head over to lg.com.
All right, lg.com. Thank you once again, Gilles. Always a pleasure. All the best. Be well.
Thank you so much. You too.
What a good interview. That's Gilles Pereira from LG. When we return on Tech It Out, I'll share some smart home ideas. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. Hope you're all having a good, long Memorial Day weekend with family and friends. Appreciate you tuning in to Tech It Out. This show is powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, and that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, accessories like monitors, mice, and keyboards. There's mobile tech like smartphones and tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. As I said earlier in the show, I had a lot of fun on Tuesday in New York City, near Little Italy and Chinatown, recording at Next Millennium Productions. We were doing TV interviews across the country, talking about one of my favorite topics, smart home tech. Gotta love that, right? So I've got some of those items to share with you, and so you might want to grab your phone to jot these down, if you're not driving, of course, or pen and paper, what have you. You're gonna love some of these, including some of these prices as well. So where to start? Okay. Amazon, if you missed the news last week, they just announced a trio of new Alexa-powered devices, which can all enhance your home office. So, really, it's great for work and play. But for under $40, Echo Pop is the latest in the Echo family of smart speakers, now in a new and fun form factor. Lots of different colors to choose from as well. Lavender and teal among them, hence the name Echo Pop. Those colors really look great. When I was doing the TV interview last week, I was on set with the lavender version, and I know my wife Kelly's going to want that on her night table. A front-facing speaker delivers full sound while you ask it to set reminders. You can play music, of course, and podcasts, or control your smart home devices. You know the drill. Echo Pop also includes this. Now, I really like this feature. It's got built-in Eero Wi-Fi support. Eero is E-R-O. That is Amazon's Wi-Fi technology. So with this smart speaker, it can add up to 1,000 square feet of coverage to your existing Eero mesh network. Perfect for the summer when you want to expand or extend your Wi-Fi to the outdoors. Maybe you want to read on your tablet on a front porch if you've got one, or hang out in the backyard and stream music to a speaker or what have you. This is great for expanding your Wi-Fi with an Eero mesh system using an Echo Pop speaker. All right, before we move on from Amazon and talk about some other solutions, two more announcements they had last week. The new Echo Show 5, which fuses the smarts of a hands-free Alexa with a glanceable screen. Perfect for looking at your calendar appointments, watching the news, checking your Ring cameras, and now with double the bass, all for just $89. That's the Echo Show 5, which refers to the screen size. And then there's new and wireless Echo Buds. These are semi-in-ear earbuds, a new design that's great for taking conference calls while on the go, along with long battery life, and of course, hands-free access to Alexa, perhaps to set reminders, ask for information. You can access your stock quotes and weather and all that just by asking for it hands-free, and all for for under $50. Look, I love the Apple AirPods Pro, but that's several $100s. This is for under $50 for the Echo Buds, which are great. You can find all of those, by the way, at amazon.com/Echo Devices. So it's amazon.com/Echo Devices. All right, next up, it's no secret that we keep our doors and windows open more often this season than others. And so there's now a smarter way to protect your family from those flying pests that annoy us all. The Raid Essentials Light Trap. For under $19. It uses continuous light technology to attract and trap flying bugs without any insecticides. It provides 24/7 attraction for up to 2 weeks, and it's effective against mosquitoes, which tend to love me, fruit flies, gnats, and moths, so you never have to touch any insects or get your hands sticky. The dual-sided adhesive cartridge will trap those flying insects and keep it hidden away. Again, under $19 at retailers like Amazon, Target, and Walmart, or you can learn more at raid.com. Next up, I love this for pool owners. If you're lucky enough to have a pool, the Aiper Seagull Pro is new. That's AIPER. The Seagull Pro is their most advanced cordless robotic pool cleaner. Its navigation technology will systematically clean your pool, while the quad motor system is so powerful that it doesn't just suck up dirt and debris and leaves and bugs and all that from the bottom of the pool. It could even climb and clean the walls to leave your pool sparkling. When it's done, it parks itself off to the side, so you just pull it out, empty the nylon tray, and recharge it like you would your smartphone. So now you can spend more time working on your tan and not the pool. The Seagull Pro is $899, but get this, and you're going to want to jot this down for sure. So it's $899, but if you go to aiper.com before June 15th, that's AIPER.com, I've got a code for you to type in. This is just for Tech It Out listeners. The code is POOL200, so you want to type that in at checkout, POOL 200, for a $200 discount. I'll say that one more time. The robotic Seagull Pro is normally $899 from Aiper, but if you go to their website and buy it before June 15th, you can get $200 off with this code. So it's aiper.com, AIPER.com. It rhymes with paper. Type in this code at checkout, POOL200, POOL 200, for a $200 discount. Thank you to Aiper for providing that. That's awesome. And finally, this is great for entertaining your guests. It's perfect for gamers and great for kids' bedrooms too. It's the GE branded Sync Dynamic Effects Smart Bulbs. Sync, by the way, is CYNC. They feature millions of colors. They put on light shows, and there's even a microphone in the bulb so that colors move with music to create the perfect atmosphere. Really neat. It's also the only bulb, by the way, that can display up to 4 colors at once. Plus, the Sync app on your smartphone or tablet gives you ultimate control from anywhere, whether you're home or not, by the way, or you can use your voice with a smart speaker to control it. So that's the GE branded Sync, CYNC, Dynamic Effects Smart Bulbs, and you can pick them up at Lowe's or Lowe's.com for under $20. To learn more about all of these products and even see them in action with me showing them on TV, you can head over to inthenews.tv, and there's links as well for everything I covered just now, inthenews.tv. No doubt you've heard about ChatGPT and other generative AI tools, large language models, whatever you want to call them. Cisco will be with us after this short break to break it all down for us. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out on this special episode over Memorial Day long weekend. Thanks for tuning in. You don't need to be into tech to know the most buzzworthy word over the past few months is ChatGPT. It's what's called generative AI chatbot. So it uses artificial intelligence, and it has amassed hundreds of millions of users since it debuted in late November. Love it or loathe it, you can expect to hear a lot more about this kind of technology going forward. And so who better to chat with about AI as a tool for work or play than Cisco, the Silicon Valley-based tech conglomerate that makes much of the gear used to power the internet today. Thrilled to have on the show for the first time, Jeetu Patel, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Security and Collaboration at Cisco. Welcome to the show, Jeetu. Great to chat with you.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Before we talk about AI, and if we have time, I'll also ask you about your partnership with the NFL. Very cool. But first, tell us a bit about Cisco.
Sure. So Cisco is a large networking, security, collaboration, and observability company. So we're a large cap company within the tech space. And our goal, easy way to kind of describe who we are, is whenever you connect to the internet, there is a bunch of plumbing that happens behind the scenes so that you get that beautiful page on the website, you get to hear someone's voice, or you get to see someone's video. All the plumbing that happens that makes that possible is us, but also makes that happen securely. And then the software that actually allows you to watch each other on video is also happening, some of the software that we build. So
like WebEx, right? That would be an example of your video
like
communication
WebEx,
and
exactly.
collaboration tool. Anything about Cisco our listeners may not know? Any fun facts or?
You know, that we are 80% of the world's internet traffic actually goes through Cisco gear. I think
wow.
That's an interesting fun fact.
It sure is. Okay, so let's now talk AI and in the workplace as well. I know there's been a ton of buzz about ChatGPT, as I mentioned off the top. What is it exactly? What is this technology all about? And what are some of the main issues?
This whole notion of artificial intelligence, which is like, you know, the computer having intelligence similar to what a human being would have to go out and conduct tasks is an age-old concept. It's not a new concept. Mm-hmm. But there was a step function improvement that happened with ChatGPT. And the reason for that is they fundamentally showed people in an easy way the ability to understand language and reason as a machine took things and possibilities to the next level, where you could ask a question and the computer would answer it. You could ask for reasoning and the computer would know what you were trying to look for. And this wasn't something that was being indexed across a large amount of corpus of data where you could just aggregate the information. The beauty about ChatGPT is artificial intelligence in the future that's most underestimated is it's going to create original insight that the human corpus of knowledge did not have. And so there will be new ideas that get generated from machines that humans did not generate. And that, I think, completely changes the way that you can start to think about the potential that artificial intelligence will have and the impact it has on humanity. Now, by the way, there's going to be great things that happen with this, but there's also a lot of downside that could happen with it. So you have to make sure that you act responsibly as we think about, you know, building out these systems. It's the next big platform, the way I see it, and it's going to be as big as the internet, if not bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about some of those potential downsides. I think it was Geoffrey Hinton, known as the godfather of AI, that said you should be concerned about ChatGPT, and Elon Musk, head of Twitter and SpaceX and one of the richest men in the world. I mean, obviously, if these tech visionaries are concerned, shouldn't we be?
The way I see this is there's a tremendous amount of upside because every human can now have an assistant, some sort of a ally that's going to be able to help you get your job done in a more effective way. Yeah. That's the upside of it. Mm-hmm. The downside is when machines get the ability to reason, when machines over time, there's this term called artificial general intelligence that we're moving towards. We're not quite there yet, but that's when any task that a human could do, a machine could do. When that starts to happen, there's definitely going to be risk of displacement of jobs. There's going to be risk of what happens if the machine can have its own ambition. What happens if the bad folks, like in the security sector, the adversaries and the threat actors can actually go out and use artificial intelligence to have much more targeted phishing attacks. So when you think about a security breach that happens, typically you might get an email from the Nigerian prince saying, click on this link and I'll give you $10 million. It's pretty easy to tell that this Nigerian prince is not a real guy when you actually read it, because it's got a bunch of typos and it actually looks kind of ridiculous. But in the future, these attacks are going to be much more specialized, much more bespoke, where I'll say, hey, Mark, good to see you last week at your daughter's basketball game. Here's some pictures from it. And go click on the link, and that's actually going to download some malware. So I think there's a fair amount of downside that can happen with AI because the bad folks have access to the same technology that the good folks have. And so it has to get regulated in some way. There has to be policy that's set effectively, but the policymakers have to work with the private sector. The policies that get set don't get set too late, and they're not too restrictive, but they're still protective of humanity.
Jeetu, you've been quoted as saying that AI sometimes hallucinates. Can you elaborate on that?
So what happens is artificial intelligence technology, especially with large language models, which is what we see with ChatGPT, it is a predictive model where it can sometimes give you an answer with a tremendous amount of certitude that might in fact not be the right answer.
Right.
By the way, as the models get better and better, that'll go down, but there's still going to be a certain percentage of time that hallucination happens. And so in certain sectors, the tolerance level for hallucination is much lower than what today's AI's models might actually be showing. Think about healthcare and diagnosis that needs to happen. You can't have 20% hallucination and 80% truth. You need to have it be much higher. Think about cybersecurity, where you need to go out and make sure that you're protecting against breaches and attacks from either nation states or cyber syndicates. Like, you need to make sure that that hallucination quotient is very, very low, if not non-existent.
We're going to talk more with Jeetu from Cisco about AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll talk cybersecurity concerns as well. And speaking of which, I wanted to give a shout out to Visa. Did you know that online shoppers are 3 times more likely to enter an unfamiliar store if it displays a Visa logo? And customers are 5 times more likely to think a merchant is reputable. This is because Visa has invested billions over the years in fraud prevention, so you don't need to think twice about shopping at retail or online with your Visa card. Visa is deploying advanced technology to ensure customer data is not vulnerable, no matter where the transactions take place. This includes tokenization, which reduces the risk of identity theft because this technology replaces your cardholder info with a random alphanumeric code, so the merchant never sees your actual card number. Yet it still ensures a fast transaction as well. To learn more about Visa's work in protecting you and your purchases, visit visa.com/security. We'll be right back with more Cisco on Tech It Out.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. We're chatting with Jeetu Patel. He's EVP and GM of Security and Collaboration at Cisco. We're talking AI, artificial intelligence. With the couple of minutes we have left with you, Jeetu, any final thoughts on generative AI, large language models, and where we're going with this technology?
I think this technology is still in its early days. It's maturing. I think we have to make sure that we keep an eye on it. But the potential, in 60 days, ChatGPT reached 100 million users. It took Instagram 2.5 years. It took Facebook 4.5 years to get to 100 million users. So when you start thinking about the level of interest that this has generated, it's very correlated with the level of value that this could provide potentially, but there are risks to it, and those risks have to be taken seriously. One of the challenges that the tech community has always had in the past is we have thought about this from a very zero-sum game perspective. Whenever there's a new innovation that happens, there's always going to be some collateral damage and disruption, and you just have to deal with it. I don't think we can think about that this way in this particular instance, because if there were job displacements, they could be pretty profound. And so you have to think about those in mind. If there are security breaches, they could be pretty profound to critical infrastructure. And you have to think about those things in mind. And so having the right level of public-private partnership for setting policy, for making sure that there's regulation that allows humanity to remain safe while being productive, I think is going to be pretty important.
Very interesting. What about leveraging AI for accessibility purposes? So, for example, with a WebEx video call, can't AI add things like real-time captions to a chat?
Yeah, this is one of the areas where we've made a ton of progress, and the level of progress we've made on speech being converted to text, and then that text be converted into different languages, so that the hearing impaired can go out and read something if they're hard of hearing, or there are people who speak different languages that could be on a call and they can each speak a different language, but each understand each other, because we have, the ability to speak in 10 different spoken languages and can actually translate and transcribe that into 110 different other languages. So this kind of barrier of language, barrier of physical location, barrier of disability of some sort, those things actually get reduced dramatically with AI. And that's actually one of the phenomenal benefits of these kind of technologies, is they make lives easier to live for the folks that have a disability.
I love that. Tech as a facilitator, or leveling the playing field for everybody. Before I let you go, as I alluded to earlier, Jeetu, tell us about the partnership with Cisco and the NFL.
Absolutely. So we are lucky to have customers like the NFL. And, when you start thinking about how connectivity works and how people are able to go out and make sure that the infrastructure to go out and have millions of people view a game is done in a seamless manner where people don't even think about it. Cisco is behind the scenes working hard to make sure that that happens, but also how you can actually prevent security breaches from happening. And so, by the way, artificial intelligence will be one of the core parts of the underlying fabric of every single technology that we work on. And specifically, if you think about something like cybersecurity, we have now gotten to volumes of attacks from adversaries and threat actors that are at such large scale and proportion and sophistication that you no longer can deal with this at human scale. You have to deal with it at machine scale. And so whether it be someone with as high scale a need as NFL or something else, AI is going to be in the core fabric of how we use it, because the data and the telemetry that we collect and correlate can really tell you whether or not there's in fact an anomalous behavior and a breach occurring, or it's just legitimate activity that's going on. And as AI gets more sophisticated, the threat actors are actually making attacks look like normal course of action. And so what we have to do is make the cyber defenses even more sophisticated to make sure that we can detect when there's an attack versus just a normal course of action that's going on. And NFL is going to be a benefactor of that, and so will others, and we have a great partnership with them.
Awesome. Well, excited to learn more about that. And speaking of which, where can we learn more about your work in Cisco?
You can go to cisco.com, and that's our website. You can follow me on Jeetu Patel 41 on Twitter, or you can follow me on LinkedIn. And we have many, many kind of innovations that we're spending billions of dollars on that will really make lives of humans more connected, more inclusive, safer for the world. We're excited about what the future has ahead of us, and we also want to make sure that we act very responsibly as we go and roll these capabilities out so it doesn't create unintended consequences, because that's our responsibility as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeetu. Pleasure chatting with you. All the best. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mark.
From Jeetu to BenQ. When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to chat with BenQ about its latest gaming monitors, including a pair that will not break the bank, surprisingly affordable given their specs. We'll get to that in a moment. If you're on social media this Memorial Day long weekend, drop me a line. Let me know what you're up to, what you would like to hear on an upcoming Tech It Out episode. Maybe you've got a tech question for me, suggestions for upcoming guests. I'll spell my name in a moment, but I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. I also write a tech tip of the day. I post videos showing tech and hints and tips and tricks and hacks and so on. I link to the articles that I write, including my first ever cover story to Reader's Digest this month and so on. So it's Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman. Again, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. It's Mark with a C, Saltzman with a Z, and I look forward to chatting with you online. Tech It Out is powered by ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. ASUS, for those in search of incredible. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. When we return on Tech It Out, our last interview is with BenQ to chat gaming monitors, two of which with an incredibly aggressive price point. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
Computer and console gamers looking to buy a new monitor have a lot of options today, including a pair of new models from BenQ, which I saw at a recent press event, and I wanted to invite them onto the show to share the news. To tell us all about these new gaming monitors, we're joined by Alex Clendenen, Product Marketing Associate for BenQ North America. Hi, Alex. Good to chat with you.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for carving out some time. Before we talk gaming monitors, tell us a bit about BenQ, the company.
Yeah, sure. Well, BenQ, we specialize in consumer electronics, specifically monitors and projectors, and we aim to elevate and enrich aspects of consumers' lives by designing products with a purpose.
All right. And speaking of monitors, I know gamers, this is a really important consideration. At a high level, before we talk about specific models, what do gamers want in a monitor today?
Well, there's several things gamers want in a monitor today. They're looking for response time, so how quickly that they can react to the actions that are happening on screen. There's also resolution to see how sharp the image quality is, and that can range from 1080p all the way to 4K, and also picture quality, so how clear the image is and bright the image is. So, for example, if there's, a messenger in the corner, if you're playing a role-playing game, and you see that it looks like he doesn't have any pockets on his character, but you turn up our black equalizer and then you can see he has dozens of pockets.
All right. So just going back to resolution, 1080p that you mentioned is high definition, but even better than that is 4K. So that's 4 times the resolution of HD. So some monitors offer that. You talked about picture quality and brightness and speed. As you said, speed is incredibly important because you want it to keep up with the games themselves. Otherwise, what happens if the monitor is slower than what the games can deliver?
The reaction time on the monitor is actually slower than, let's say, your competitors in terms of, playing online video games or even role-playing games. That could be the difference between you being alive or you being dead.
Okay. And I'm assuming size is also a key consideration. You want a nice big monitor because games are all about immersion, right? It's all about that suspension of disbelief. So I guess the bigger the monitor, the better?
Not necessarily. It's really personal preference. If you're into, say, shooter games like Call of Duty, you might want a smaller size so you have the full screen in front of you and you can see all corners. But if you're in a role-playing game like World of Warcraft or something like that, you would want maybe larger just so you can get that immersive experience. This really is personal preference.
Good point. And what about curved versus flat? Is there any preference?
That also is preference as well. I wouldn't say either has a competitive advantage over each, but it's personal.
So with all this in mind then, Alex, tell us about 2 of the new EX gaming monitors that BenQ recently unveiled.
So the EX270QM is our gaming monitor. It's 27-inch. It's 2K resolution, also known as 1440p. It has 240 hertz and it has a 1 millisecond response time for super smooth gameplay and tear-free experience. And what I mean by a tear-free experience is what this monitor specifically has 240 hertz. Now, you're going to want a gaming platform like a console or a gaming PC to keep up with that refresh rate. And if it keeps up with that refresh rate, you won't experience any tears on the screen or any distortion.
All right, tear-free. So that's what you were saying earlier, that if the monitor is not as fast as what the games can deliver, it's got this tearing effect or this jittery kind of like disjointed thing going on. And then that can impede your performance, especially if you're competing online. We are chatting with Alex Clendenen. He's product marketing associate for BenQ North America. We're learning about a pair of new gaming monitors for either console or PC gamers. We just heard about the EX270QM. How much does that cost? And then we'll move on to another model, the EX240.
The EX270QM is $799.
Now let's pivot and chat about the EX240 monitor.
Yeah, so we're actually running a promotion on the EX240 and the 240N. The difference between the two monitors is the panel. So the EX240N has a VA panel and the EX240 has an IPS panel. They have different strength. So for example, the IPS panel on the EX240 has finer colors, better viewing angles, a faster response time, and even a better black level detail. On the VA panel on the EX240N, it's also a great all-around monitor. It has better contrast than the IPS, but it's also not as fast as the IPS in terms of response time.
So who would that be for then? Still for a gamer or a different kind of gamer?
So for the EX240, specifically the IPS panel, would be better for games that first-person shooters. So for example, like a Call of Duty where you need those quick response times when someone is jumping around the corner, you need to be able to react quickly, and that IPS panel will definitely allow you to do that at a greater advantage over the VA panel. But the VA panel is more suited to players that play role-playing games that be able to see the landscape in the area with much better contrast.
All right. And how much is the EX240?
The EX240 is actually on sale for $159, while the EX240N is $129.99.
Great prices. Is there a website where we can learn more, Alex, about all of these?
You can find all this information at BenQ.com.
All right, BenQ.com. Alex, thanks so much for carving out some time to chat with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
And I appreciate you, Tech It Out listener, for tuning in, especially on the Memorial Day weekend. Hoping you have a good and safe long weekend. All the best, everyone. We'll catch up with you next weekend for another episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.